The 2023 season for the Tri-State Pro Stock Series, brought to you by Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication, is set to kick off April 8th at the Keller Auto Speedway in Hanford, California. From there, we head to several of the premier West Coast tracks, including Bakersfield Speedway, Placerville Speedway, and Stockton Dirt Track. And to cap it off, we have our inaugural visit to the Chico Silver Dollar Speedway in Chico, California. Catch all the action live and in person at the racetrack or at speeduniontv.com. And we will see you at the races.
Well, welcome to a live Thursday night on Up on the Bars discussion. I know everybody was a little confused last weekend. Last week. It said we were live, but it was a pre-recorded show Stephen Blakesley and myself did before, so everybody was commenting and thought we were live, and it's like, oh no, we're not live, and everybody's like, yes, it says you're live. Well, we weren't. It was pre-recorded. It just showed live when it was broadcasting. Hey, Dan Myrick, how are you doing tonight? Tonight, joining us from the great northern land up there. I'm hoping he's got snow on the ground so I can laugh at him just like everybody's been doing me this week.
There's no snow here, brother.
Yeah. I've been driving in the snow all week in Oregon. But joining us tonight is, I got to make sure I say this correctly because then I want to get right into the story. Sir Lawrence Oconnor from Canada. Welcome, Mr. Oconnor. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How about you, brother?
Doing good. So the first time I heard you mention they had the big Canadian flag and they said Sir Lawrence Oconnor and he was knighted and all this other stuff. And it was on a preview and then I got cut off and I didn't get to hear the whole story. So now I want to hear the whole story. How did you get the name?
Well, it started off fairly innocently enough. It was probably, 15 years ago, maybe longer, 15 years ago or so at Southern Oregon Speedway. And the announcer there, who I think was that Charles Snyder, an older fellow, I think he passed away. Anyways, the announcer was going around through the pits and he was getting his information, on people's name and their sponsors and all that shit. And so he was taking my name. He didn't know me. And he said, do you have any nicknames? And I said, no. He said, well, what do people call you if they don't call you Lawrence? And I said, well, they fucking call me Sir. And so he started calling me Sir. So then it kind of got legs under it, and other announcers at other racetracks started calling me Sir. So it kind of took off. So we just figured, well, we'll go with it for a while. So we started making shirts and stuff like that. And it was because, my name is Lawrence, so kind of like there's a Sir Lawrence Olivier, and I'm a Canadian, so that's kind of falls into that shit. And I can be, a bit of an arrogant prick, so I can carry a Sir pretty well. So that was all fine. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, a gal pal of mine from France called me up, and she knows that I go to Hawaii a lot. And she said, I want to go to Hawaii to spend my 30th birthday. I said, are you going to Hawaii? I said, well, I am after the duel is over in Vegas. I said, why don't you stop on your way from France to Hawaii? Why don't you stop in Vegas for a couple of days? So she did. Her name was Adele. So she stops in Vegas for a few days. So she goes to Hawaii. And when the duel's over, I go and I catch up with her. So we go out for her birthday dinner, and she said, I've got a surprise for you. And she had actually had me knighted at the micronation of Sealand. And I've got the document. As a matter of fact, I've got the document right here, right there, which I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's it's the official thing, and it comes with, all your duties and responsibilities. Now, mind you, this isn't a knighthood from Queen Elizabeth, so it's not quite the same as what Lewis Hamilton got, but I was first, so that F1 guy, he got to be the second motorsports Sir. Well, I guess Jackie Stewart's a Sir too, but so anyway, so I'm technically I've really been knighted, but by Sealand, not by Great Britain.
Well, somebody just put out there, that's badass. And then somebody said, howdy, friends. Drop your names in there because I'm trying to follow all the pages where we're at, so I don't see everybody's name as they pop on there. But hey, Jimmy Owens, glad you joined in. Howdy, friends. So I kind of took notice of you because I think it was at Boone when I heard this story with the Australian announcer. You were kind of down there and you're talking about being an arrogant person. Oh, hey, Chris Mick, how you doing? And you kind of made a snarky comment while he was down there, and I got a little chuckle out of that. But like I said, it cut off from the preview, and I didn't get to hear the rest of the story, which I was actually engrossed in hearing it. So it's like it kind of stuck here in the back of my mind.
I don't. Are you saying that I gave that Australian guy a snarky comment? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't remember what the comment was, but I do recall at the end of Boone, if I heard that fucking phrase, Boone shakalaka, one more time in my life, it would be too soon.
See, I don't watch all of it. I just watch highlight clips and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, right. Well,
let's get back and talk about your history in racing. How did you get started in racing? And where did you start?
Well, I'm 64, so I've been doing this for 50 years. Coming up, this will be my 50th year, I think, of strapping a helmet on a Saturday. So when I was 14, I started racing flat track motorcycles. And so that went along fairly well. And so I did that. I went up through the ranks, and I was Canadian national champion in, I think, 1980 or 81, something like that. And then I went to the U.S. and I raced as an AMA expert. And my last race on a motorcycle in the U.S. was at the very last race they held at Ascot Park in Los Angeles in 1990. So I just didn't know I was going to retire. I just went home when the season was over, and then just never went back. And so I think, I don't know, might have got drunk for 2 years or something. And then they started a local stock car track here. So I started racing stock cars, and then I bought after about 2 or 3 years of that, racing super stocks and whatnot, I bought a modified off my good buddy Jason Bolio and started racing modifieds, and just the way it went. So.
Well, and I've never been around the flat track motorcycles. I haven't seen it. I know they did a few of them last year around the West Coast. I haven't seen any of it.
Right.
Except TV. You were nuts to do that. I just want to say that first off, because those guys, it's cool to watch, but when they wreck, they really wreck.
Yeah. I mean, it's a badass sport, but it's incredibly dangerous. Like, we would lose maybe 4 or 5 riders a year would get killed, because in particular when you're running, say, on the mile, and you're running 140 miles an hour and you're all in a tight group, that when you crash, there's no place to go. Either everyone else is going to run over you, or you're going to hit the wall. So it's not like road racing on asphalt where there's a big runoff area. It's it was a very dangerous sport, and I think that's probably the reason that I never went back in 1990. Is it wears on you after a while, just losing so many friends.
Yep. And that's why I said I've seen some of the crashes. I couldn't even imagine. But then I laugh because I used to try to ride bulls and did stupid shit too. So I'm right there. And we did everything. I sucked at it. So we got over here and got into car racing, and I'm not known for making great decisions either. So there you go.
No, me neither. Yeah.
All right.
But
so
the car race is fun.
Yeah, I love it. And we're going to get into all this, but you mentioned drinking. If you follow your page, there's always somebody's got a comment, or you make a comment about tequila. I think you like tequila a lot. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do at the moment. I got a rusty nail, which is actually Kentucky bourbon. Or it's not a rusty nail; it's an old fashioned with Kentucky bourbon. But yeah, I find there's a particular, and a lot of people rag me about this, but Costco has a brand of tequila. It's Kirkland tequila, and it comes in a bottle that's shaped like a carry-on suitcase, and it's the best bottle for drinking straight out of the bottle. So I generally keep one frozen in my cooler, and when the races were over and everyone's having a beer, I drag this out and I, browbeat people into drinking some of this tequila, and it just because normally I'm a pretty reserved, demure sort of a fellow. I'm a bit of a wallflower, pretty quiet and whatnot. But you get the tequila in you, and then shit gets lit up.
Yeah. Chris Mick says drinking Tito myself, LOL. So there you go. And somebody else said it's good tequila. So I'm going to say, with you saying you're quite reserved and all that other stuff, I'm going to put you in the same category as Jerry, Mr. Controversy Bartlett, because as we get into the stories in just a little bit, I think they're putting the bullshit flag out early in this.
yeah. Well, that's okay. We'll go there. Yeah. I mean, I saw a bit of the hype that you had on social media leading up to this little chat we're having, and you're going on about what's going to be entertaining, this and that. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm like a fucking trained monkey here. I've got to go on and be funny and irreverent and have something interesting to say when normally I'm just a jackass.
Well, and okay, so I had no less than 5 messages. Somebody said, "Do not bring up politics."
Yeah.
There's a lot of pranks that go on in the pits that we're going to get into. Somebody else that he will say what's on his mind and not hold anything back. So you can ask him anything, and he's got an opinion on everything. So there we go. That leaves it wide open.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's true. There's a lot of people that need to have a correct opinion put into their head, because they're running around under delusions for up until they meet me. But yeah, other than that, and yeah, politics is I'm a pretty political guy, but there's nothing much going on today in politics. The news cycle is pretty quiet, so we won't have to get into politics.
Well, I happen to have a guy that comes on here, and I met from doing this podcast. His name's Ed Renzi. He goes on Fox News at no less than twice a week. Right. He was CEO of McDonald's for about 9 years. He's starting a program, and I'm going to kind of roll a soft rollout on the page tonight, and we're going to have him on real soon to talk about. He's starting a new initiative called Racing to Save America. Wants to bring conservative values to the forefront using racing to do that. So I don't know how you feel about that, but it sounds like we'll probably get along famously with that one.
Right. Well, okay. Well, moving on.
So I have to ask you, I was told, and I have to ask about this because I didn't see this. I just heard about it. I heard you like to take a stack of cards and put them in somebody's car when they go out to qualify.
Oh, yeah. Well, that started. I think we were racing in Yuma, Arizona last year. We were all standing at a casino, and at the front desk they had a whole basket full of free decks of cards that had been pre-used, at the tables, and they just give them away. So I took a big handful of these, and there's a young kid, Ryan Perry from California, Travis Perry's son. I like to refer to him as the little prick, but he's pretty handy behind the wheel, and I've known him since he was young, and I quite like the kid. But him and I have taken to abusing each other, and he kind of started, he amped it up. Several years ago during the Oregon tour, that little bastard took a roll of duct tape and about 150 of his dad's hero cards and duct taped the whole front of my truck with them. Which was fine if the duct tape would have just peeled off, but it didn't. When I peeled it all off, it left all the fucking adhesive all over the front of my truck, all over the chrome grille and the hood and the windshield and everywhere else. So from that point on, I thought, okay, you little bastard, it's on. And so yeah, he was the first victim of the cards. I took one deck of cards and I bent it and just let it all fly into his cockpit. Just before he was getting ready to get in his car to go and qualify. And I think another time I put an open deck of them on top of his fuel cell, so as soon as he got up to speed, they all blew out behind him. But yeah, cars is going to have a lot of fun with those. But yeah, Ryan's a good kid. His dad's a great guy, and now young Blake is coming up racing here shortly. I think this season he's in a sport mod. So yeah, they're a good bunch of kids, and I have a good time with them. It's nice that they have time for an old prick like me.
Yep. So I have a question for you right off the bat. Dan Myrick asks, what is your favorite racetrack and why?
Well, I've always said that Cottage Grove was my favorite racetrack because I used to do fairly well down there. Not great, but I did pretty good. So I like Cottage Grove, but to be honest, I've got to say at the moment, just because we had some success for it there and it was super cool, I got to say at the moment that Bristol with dirt on it has got to be my favorite track at the moment.
Right. And we're going to get into that very thing in just a minute, because that's one of the pictures we use to promote this and talk about all this stuff. But
on a local level, I have to say, I think Cotter's Grove, I've always liked it. You know, it doesn't have a fence around it. You know, if you get up on the top, if you screw up, you know, you're just going to go over the edge a little bit and stuff. But yeah, I've always liked Cotter's Grove. But all the tracks are good. You know, Skagit's good. Grays Harbor is an amazing facility. I have a rough time at Banks at Sunset Speedway. You know, it's a nice track, but it's flat and it's, you know, kind of, you know, it's around the bottom and stuff. So I don't tend to do as well there, but yeah, I'd say Cottage Grove if I had to pick one.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I will say, and no disrespect to all the guys that work hard, I am not a white hot fan of Medford, of Southern Oregon Speedway. Me and that place have never, ever got along. I've wrecked more shit there than I can shake a stick up.
Yep. Well, and Chris Mix just said SOS, Southern Oregon Speedway has become a badass facility. Banks is, and somebody else said Banks is a boring, hard to drive on, but awesome.
Right.
So I'm surprised I haven't met you yet personally, and I may have, and just not that I'm getting a little up in age and forget everybody too. We started Speed Union with Jay Bryant from Jay's Mobile Welding in Emily.
Right.
We've been in a racetrack every weekend this past summer from Bakersfield to Willamette Speedway. We were somewhere every weekend. So that's why you see the Speed Union logo, and we'll be covering all of the races at Southern Oregon Speedway this year as well. So, and it's funny. That's kind of my home track. That's what got me interested in dirt track was Southern Oregon Speedway. That's the first place I ever drove a race car.
Right.
And when they're so bad, and Dustin Knight is come aboard, and Ray Niffen Jr. and John Trenchard. We're hopefully going to get a main event win this year at a Pro Stock. So, but I also promote the Tri-State Pro Stock Series. So that's why I'm surprised I haven't seen you out here. And like I said, I may have. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I used to go to Medford back when they had the the Lon Skinner thing. Skinner used to, pay me a couple extra bucks to go down there and give us a hotel room and all that kind of stuff. But man, I just struggled at that place. I could just never get it figured out. Everyone would be flying around there in that sloppy horseshit mud, and I could just never get rolling good. And then something always got wrecked. I used to pit down at the far end of the pit, and there was a little tree that grew right on the other side of the fence. It was like a little elm tree. And I used to hang all the broken shit. Every year I'd go there, I'd reach over the fence, I'd hang it in the branches of that poor tree. Well, after I came back there after, I think about 2 years ago, I went there for a race, and I hadn't been there for several years. I went and looked at that poor tree. All that rusty shit was still hanging there. That tree was half leaned over. It was just struggling. It must have had 400 pounds, front end, A-arms, idler arms, tie rods, and all kinds of broken shit were hanging in it. But
and it's funny. I'm going to tell you the first time I drove a race car on a racetrack was right there at Southern Oregon at the big. I don't know. It used to be the King of the Dirt. They called it, that Skinner did, where it was runway sprung, people with big old 8-foot wings, super late models. I started in an old Chevelle that was basically a street stock,
right,
and I did not finish last. Because all those guys in the super late models, and I learned this right off the bat, let them wreck up front and you could pass them all and you're not going to finish last. Just stay in the back, stay out of the way. And it didn't work out, but I didn't finish last. And I think I hit everything out there. Back to Cold Trick, I'll hit everything but the damn pace car. And if it was out there, I probably get it too. So, just saying. But are you coming up here to race in Southern Oregon this year? I know they have the Memorial Cup coming up. The Tri-State Pro Stocks will be there, but they're racing mods and sport mods. Then they're going to be running the R. Charles Snyder Salute again this year, which.
Well, our plan at the moment is we've been racing since New Year's. We've already got 16 races in. Well, we've been down in Arizona and Las Vegas. So our plan is my hauler is actually at Perry's place. I got a couple cars in the hauler, so it's in California. So our plan is to do the California series that starts in early May, and then do the Wild West series I think it starts about the middle of June. But I don't think Medford is on the tour this year, is it? Wild West series.
sure it is. I think it kicks off, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and look.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to look at it. It seems to me that there was one track that used to be on it that isn't anymore. But at any rate, so yeah, if it's on it, then I'll be at Medford for that. I probably won't go to Medford just for fun, like on a Saturday night or something. I mean, it is, for one, it's a long ways away from me. The last time we were there, we made the feature and we ran okay. That was, I think, 2 years or 3 years ago during the tour. But yeah, man, I struggle with that place. I mean, I hear the surface is different now, and I love going there. I mean, I love the people and everything else. It's just that me and that dirt just couldn't see eye to eye. So, but yeah. So, anyways, we're gonna do that in June, and then we'll see how it works out. If we can get back to do the Dakota tour, we'll do that and figure out how to get back in time to do the National at Grays Harbor.
Right.
And that'll take us into August, and then I guess go out to Boone or something, for the Super Nationals again. And in between, if we can run some Saturday night stuff at Skagit Speedway and Grays Harbor, we will, or maybe even into Oregon. But
I was looking for a modified tour schedule right now so we could do it. That's what I'm doing on my phone. I can't do it all on a computer because we got the computer up doing this. But James Anderson summed this up, and I have it down there. His statement on the bottom says, Sir Lawrence doesn't have any luck at Medford. Years ago, he was loading his car, and the trailer came off the bowl and blew the back window out of his van.
and that's true. I think that was one of the. I used to run solo a lot, and I'd have a van with an open trailer. And I'd always somehow I had unhooked the trailer and then I hooked it back on again, and the latch didn't click in properly, and yeah, at the end of the night, that was a long time ago. That's kind of funny. You remember that? But not only did it pop off the hitch, it didn't break the window. It went right through the fucking door. It poked a hole right through the door. So when I got home, and from the inside of the truck, you could see out through the steel of the door. So when I got home, my boy was little at the time. He was only like 3 or 4 years old. So he's like, Daddy, there's a hole in the back of your door. I said, that's so you can peek out through that hole before you open the door to make sure there's no tigers outside. So he always told me the tiger hole. I got it fixed. So yeah, that was a bit of an. I couldn't say I was embarrassed. It was just like, oh, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and I was just told Medford will be the best track on Speed Week, and I'm going to point this out. 617 Southern Oregon's on there.
Okay, all right. Well, as long as it's the best for me, because that's all that matters.
Yeah, Brian, and like I said, there's a lot of comments out here. By the way, I should have put this out at the beginning and before we started. Parental advisory. Young kids probably shouldn't be laughing. There's going to be some bad language. We already talked about this before. We did say that at the beginning, but that's fine. John Trenchard jumps in and says, hey, young gun, how are you doing tonight?
Well, yeah, John is probably about 10 years younger than me, and I think he hung up his helmet. He's at least 10 years younger than me. And he hung up his helmet at least 10 years ago because he thought he was too old. Like, come on, brother.
Well, we're going to get him to talk here a little bit because he may be out in a car this year. He just hasn't. You just don't know that yet.
Right. And you're in Klamath Falls, right?
I am in Klamath Falls, yes.
I went to Klamath Falls for my very first time about a month ago. I was bringing, we had the big hauler down in Arizona, but we also had one of my trucks down there. So I was driving the truck home, and it seemed that the most direct route, and I was towing a trailer with a quad on the back, and my truck has summer tires and stuff on it. Seemed the most direct route was to go through Klamath Falls and then over that pass that comes out by Albany or wherever it comes out. Well, I'll tell you, brother, that was a freaking mistake. It was like there had to be 45 feet of snow in that pass, and it had a big sign, chain up. I didn't have any chains. I didn't have winter tires. I didn't have nothing. But I managed to survive. So, but Klamath Falls was kind of cool. I saw the little falls, which I guess if that's it, the little concrete thing where the bridge is and stuff. And as a matter of fact, I gave Nick, I took a picture and I sent it to Nick Trenchard as I was passing through town. I said, there's a lot of snow here.
Yeah, well, yeah, we just had more of it. And I literally, Saturday, I came over Santiam Pass, just a little ways from where you went over. I come down that hill in a semi truck at 15 miles an hour, blowing snow and everything else. I had the seat stuck up my butt so far from sucking it up. It was horrible. Then I left in Oregon and drove 100 miles at 30 mile an hour all the way to Klamath Falls. Delivered at the Fred Meyer store. Got in the truck the next day and drove out and never slowed down anywhere. There wasn't nothing left. It's like, what the hell? It literally went away. Not complaining. It just shocked me.
It was quite an adventure going across there, I'll tell you. You know, summer tires and towing a trailer. And it was an old piece of shit trailer, my crew chief's trailer. I don't think it had any brakes on it. And it had an old Razor quad sort of half-ass strap to it. I thought, this thing's going over the bank any moment here. Yeah. But anyways, we survived.
Being in Canada, I have to ask you a question. Do you drink Labatt's?
I used to. Yeah. Yeah, I used to drink Labatt's Blue. And then kokanee is a big thing in British Columbia. Kokanee comes from the Kokanee Mountains up in the Kootenays, which is in the interior of British Columbia. So kokanee beer is popular. I used to bring kokanee beer down to Cottage Grove and to Medford. There were some guys down there would always ask for, bring kokanee beer down.
Yeah. Well, I was staying in Canandaigua, New York, and we used to go over to Niagara Falls all the time for big meetings for our recruiting for the Navy. And we crossed the bridge over there, but I didn't know what Labatt's was. But if you're in New York and you don't know what Labatt's is, you done missed out, because it's on every bar, every side is Labatt's, and then it was crazy. So
Labatt's is a huge brewery. They own, I don't know all the list of all the brands they own, but they own a lot of brands that are sold in America that Americans would think is an American brand. And Labatt's is they're huge. They're a huge corporation. But yeah, I drink it sometimes. I mean, I'll drink whatever someone pushes in front of me.
Yeah, well, I understand that too. We used to be that way too. So I have to go back because I have to bring this up because this follows up the card scenario.
Uh-huh.
I was heard the outhouse was classic. The Hell's Hamptons.
Well. Yeah, that was at Kokopaw, and again, that was that little prick, Ryan Perry. Him and his buddies, Colin Hibden and Pierce Kidd, and some other little peckerheads from California. We left our hauler in the pits there, and I don't usually put my car away or put the lift gate up or nothing. We just kind of slide the door shut and go back to the hotel. When we arrived back in the morning, there was an outhouse right up next, right underneath my lift gate, right beside my car, right beside the sliding doors to the back of the hauler. And I can't remember if he texted me or he left a sign on the thing. It said, so that me being such an old man, I won't have to walk so far every 25 minutes to urinate, something to that effect. So later that night, I got online and I tried to find a Zoom boom that I could rent, and I was going to bring the Zoom boom down there late at night and pick that outhouse up and put it up on top of the roof of his trailer and see how he could get the fucking thing off. But I couldn't get a Zoom boom to come out there at 2:00 in the morning. Yeah.
So I'm noticing a trend, and I'm just going to ask: was alcohol involved in these decisions?
Well, I can't speak for Ryan Perry. I mean, he's young, and I don't know if he's drinks. He's just half nuts, anyways. But alcohol is generally involved in most of my bad decisions.
Yeah. So somebody else just asked about Jesse sobbing running out of your holler.
Oh. We were. Oh, that's funny. we were in Batesville in Arkansas or something, and I don't know if you know Jesse Sabi, but he's nuts, and he has this one of those taser things, like a cattle prod thing, that he likes to sneak up behind you and tase you, and it gives you like 90,000 fucking volts, and it crackles, and there's big sparks and shit. So, anyways, he was tasing me with that thing. And I think I got it away from him. Yeah, I got it. We had a bit of a fight in the pits. I got this taser away from him, so I was chasing around. So then he had he got a butane blowtorch that when you just click the button, it fires up. So he had the blowtorch and I had the taser, and so it was kind of a standoff until I picked up a can of brake clean, sprayed the brake clean at him, and lit up the blowtorch and everything. So that was all fine. So that was how it started with this taser. So we're about a month later, we were racing in Kokopah, and we were heading up to Las Vegas, I think, to race up there. And we stopped at a truck stop, great big truck stop, and we sleep. So Jesse had his big fancy hauler parked, and there's probably 40 or 50 semis, the way they park those places, all backed in, all pretty and stuff. And I was over in my hauler with a couple of my crew guys, and me and one of my crew guys stayed up till, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the morning drinking. So we finally go to bed, and I sleep in the nude. So I'm laying in my bunk. Well, at about 6, and Sabin comes into the truck. He's got the taser, and he's like, and I'm in bed, and I'm half asleep, and still maybe a bit drunk. And he's gonna zap me with this. So I jump out of the bed, and now I'm naked. So it freaks him out because he's from Iowa, and he doesn't like being close to a naked man, I guess. So he runs out of the holler. So he's leaving. He's got to walk all the way across this big empty parking lot where all the semis are parked, and all the semi drivers are on their way into the restaurant to get their morning coffee. I come out of the door of my hauler, butt naked, my cock hanging out and everything, and I start yelling at him and say, "That was the worst fucking blowjob I've ever had. I ain't paying you for that. You call that a blowjob? That wasn't for 20 fucking hours. I'm paying you. Thank you, shitty ass motherfucker." So, and he had to walk all the way across, like 400 feet across this empty parking lot with me standing there, butt naked in the door, yelling at him what a shit blowjob it was.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. This is apparently getting a lot of humor out of tonight, and we're getting a lot of comments, and I'm always afraid to follow up on these Anyway, so the best story is with Strimmy and Jason Boyu in an X-rated video.
Oh, I'm not sure which one that one is. I don't know if that's in Las Vegas or in Yakima. I don't know. It might be. Oh, it might be. Yeah, it might be this one. It might be this one. We were racing in Yakima about 4 years ago, and I had my hauler there, and I also had one of my vans there. So we're in my truck drinking tequila, me and Jason Bolio and Tammy and my crew guy Aaron Hardesty and a couple other people in there. Probably John Campos. He's normally in there whenever drinking's involved. And so Bolio goes outside the door to take a piss, and he's outside and he's pissing on the side of my truck. So I get my camera out and I film him pissing, like a full-on front shot of him, with his dick out and everything, pissing on my truck. So I posted on Facebook. So I post this on Facebook, and I also send it to David Stremme, who's a pretty conservative guy. He kind of protects the Lethal Chassis brand and stuff. I think I even posted to the Lethal Chassis website of their favorite driver, with his dick out at 4 a.m. So anyways, the next morning, Bolio calls me because his daughter had called and said that there was a picture of him nude, or naked, or his dick out anyways, on Facebook. So he calls me and he says, "You bastard, you put a video of my penis on Facebook." So I said, "Yeah, but there was only 7 likes." He goes, "Yeah, but there was 156 views." He says.
Oh.
So anyways, I took that down. So that might be what they're referring to. I'm not sure.
All right. So Jerry Stewart, late model guy down out of Bakersfield, said Miho, his crew guy, had a taser incident. So, and I promised him I would get this in there tonight. Make sure you have your lug nuts tight when you go on the track this year, Jerry. Just make sure. That's all.
Well, that doesn't refer to me, I don't think.
No, Jerry, he went out there. He had all their lug nuts tight, but they had wallowed out a little bit, and he made about 2 laps, and it broke all the studs off his rear end, and he lost his left rear wheel on the track at Bakersfield.
Yep, that's what happens.
Yep. So John Trenchard is joining in. Any broom closet stories?
Oh, yeah, that one's a little rich. Yeah, the broom closet in Mexico, that probably that'll stay in my pits. Yeah, I don't know who's listening to this, so that one, I'm not ashamed of that story. I'm actually quite proud of it. I couldn't wait to tell people after that story, but that one's kind of just a step over the line. So we'll leave that one for in person.
Yeah, that what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. Got it.
Well,
So,
it doesn't. Well, at least stays in my pits, anyways. Then on the airwaves.
all right. So Ryan Rose says then he needs extra toilet paper for that hauler. Lawrence had a toilet paper incident in Casa Grande.
Yeah, those motherfuckers. Yeah, so we go check into this hotel in Casa Grande, and it says if you need your room made up, you got to call ahead. Otherwise, they only make up your room every 4 days. Like they're still milking the COVID thing. Like during COVID, they wouldn't make up rooms, so COVID is kind of over, but they're still saving on housekeeping stuff. So, anyways, this is fine. So I'm leaving my room, and Aaron, my crew guy, had reminded me. He said, "Stop at the Walmart and get this and this and this, and one of the items was get some toilet paper." So well, I'll just get toilet paper from the hotel. So I leave my room, and the cleaning staff is out in the hallway. So I asked the gal. I said, "Can I get some toilet paper, ostensibly for my room?" She goes, "Sure." So I take it and I carry on. And I walk down the hall, and there's another cart down there. So I grab another roll off that cart. Like, well, this is cool. I had a little bag with me or something. So I put the 2 rolls of toilet paper in my bag. Now, theoretically, I could honestly have been taking those for my room because they don't come to my room. I mean, I guess if you went through a whole roll of toilet paper every day, you might have other problems. But I've got these 2 rolls of toilet paper. So then on my way through the lobby, the laundry room is there. And that's like toilet paper heaven. There's toilet paper everywhere there. So and there's no one in the laundry room. The door's open. So I duck in there and I grab 2 more rolls. So now I've got 4 rolls of toilet paper. Well, the girl at the front desk, the manager girl, I guess had been watching me on the camera, the security cameras in the hall. She saw me take the one off the second trolley. And then she saw me on the other camera go into the laundry room and take 2 more. So she comes storming around the car. She loses her shit. You can't take that, blah, blah. So, me, I'm a pretty quick thinking guy. I'm like, well, it's from my room because you don't clean my room every day. But, fine, whatever. Here's your rolls of toilet paper back. So I give them back the 4 rolls of toilet paper. So that's fine. I'm thinking, whatever. It was a bit embarrassing. I got caught swiping some toilet paper for my hauler. A whole $2.41 worth of toilet paper. Well, when I come back to the hotel that night, my key wouldn't work. And I'm like, what's going on? I said, oh, we've kicked you out of the hotel. I said, for what? Well, for stealing toilet paper. And then abusing the staff. So, well, for one, I didn't abuse any staff, and I didn't steal it because I had to give it back. And then I give them the big story about them not cleaning the rooms every day and whatever. But anyways, yeah, they booed me out of the fucking hotel. So I packed up my bag and they let me back in my room to get my bag. And when I went back in the room, I took the roll of toilet paper was in the bathroom on the roller, took it off and put it in my bag. And so I got the last laugh on it.
Yeah. Well, Sean Dory said, "Love racing with your crazy ass."
Yeah,
So,
Sean, yeah, he's a good guy. Him and his dad, yeah.
Well, everybody's kind of throwing you under the bus, and I will say Travis is adding a little fuel to this fire. So just so you know. But let's go back. I know you mentioned your favorite track to win at was Bristol. Tell us about that, because that was the first year they brought dirt to Bristol. A big deal, and I know you picked up a main event win there. Tell us about Bristol and what you went through that week, because that sounds like, I wasn't there, but that sounds like probably one of the baddest ass week of racing there is.
Yeah, you've almost got it right. The first year they had dirt at Bristol was in 2021, and I couldn't cross the border because of COVID. So I was signed up, and Barry Braun, said, no worries, I understand you can't get across the border. So he refunded my entry fee, like at the next race of his in Vegas. And I really got to hand it to Barry Braun and XR, for what they're doing these days with late model racing and with the modified racing, for the way they bump purses up. And, they're thinking outside of the box and breaking new ground. I'm a big supporter of his. But at any rate, so I wasn't able to cross the border. So the first year they ran at Bristol, Jacob Hobscheit it wasn't Hobscheit. Shit, I forgot his name. Kid from California. Anyways, someone will correct me, I'm sure. So he won it. So last year I was able to go. So we went down there and I put an open motor in from Shark Engines up in Washington by Skagit there. and up in Burlington, and went down. We won the main event on Thursday night, won our qualifying feature, and then we won the big show on Saturday. So it was pretty cool. I remember thinking afterwards, like I'd only went to Bristol just to say, because I've never been to a NASCAR race. I don't really care. But if I ever went to one, I always thought I'd go to Bristol because it was just a cool looking racetrack. So I thought, well, I'll go out of my way to go just to say, when all my racing's over and done with, that I've raced at Bristol. And I had no idea that I'd end up winning it, much less win twice there. So it was badass. So after winning that race, I remember telling some people that if I never won another race in my life, I would be happy, because that baby's in the record books. And so we did end up winning a couple more after that. But yeah, it was definitely a highlight of my career, that's for sure. And to win it, then I was 63 years old, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's something Travis said, that you and Ryan are such good friends. You've got a young kid. I don't even know if he's 21 yet or not. I'm not sure.
No, he's like 18 or 14 or 11 or something.
And apparently y'all have a heap big time hanging out. But I go through and run some commercials real quick, and we'll come right back on here. I don't want to break the momentum because we're going, but it's like, hang on just a minute. Man.
Yeah, you gotta get paid. You get paid, brother.
Tired of calling multiple companies to complete your low voltage projects? Minimize the hassle by calling Workman Communications, your locally owned one-stop shop for all low voltage needs. We tackle everything from commercial and residential data, telephone cabling to access control installation, CCTV, alarms, and audio-video solutions. With no job too big or too small, we'll ensure your project will be completed to your standards with precision quality results. Let's start a new project together.
The Tri-State Pro Stock Series would like to welcome back title sponsors Jay and Emily Bryant. Jay and Emily own Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication and Speed Union TV. Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication is located in Sacramento, California. Whether you need sheet metal for your race car or a complex welding and fabrication project, contact Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication.
So I hope everybody likes to do commercials. I'm learning how to edit video a little bit better. So now at Bristol, I have to ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
How did it feel going around that? Because everybody I've talked to, when you watch those sport compacts turning 108 mile an hour laps around there, I can't even imagine it would be like in a modified.
It really was a piece of cake. I mean, I guess like from my motorcycle racing when we used to run the mile, I'm used to racing at high speeds, but the bigger a racetrack is, like the faster you're going on it, also generally the wider it is. So you don't really feel the speed there, or I didn't, and it was super banked, but you don't feel the banking other than when you first pull out on the racetrack, when you're going slow, when you pull out, your car's like this, I mean, that was pretty crazy, but when you're racing, it was just fun. It was just badass fun. And, I didn't notice the speed, like you said, or the banking or anything like that. And speaking of which, you run your commercials, I have to give, my guys a plug, of course. Aaron Hardesty, my crew chief, did an amazing, he always does an amazing job for me, but he did an amazing job out there. And the car that we won Bristol with was a Rage chassis, a Rage modified that Ryan Rossnow from Jarovitz Motorsports had built for me out of Wisconsin. And so he just does an unbelievable job with my cars. After we won Bristol with that car, we sold that car to John Campos in Oregon, and then Ryan has built us another Rage car from Jarovitz. So got to give those guys a shout out for sure. I mean, that car was just, we didn't touch a thing in that car the whole week we were there. Didn't touch a thing, and we were fast, like right off the bat. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And
with Bristol, just before I leave Bristol, I don't keep any trophies in my house where people can see them, but I do have one this way. But my Bristol trophy and the sword I keep right here in my living room. So that's how much it means to me, because if you came to my house, you would have no idea that I had anything to do with racing other than that.
Well, and you got the whole history of Bristol in general. I mean, you got the whole Dale and Terry Labonte issues a couple of times back. That's such a rich history in racing, period.
Yeah, it's an iconic racetrack. There's no doubt. And to be in the infield and look up and see those grandstands that go all the way around, seats 153,000 people. You know, they call it the world's last great Coliseum, and they're right. I mean, it's it's a pretty special deal. Like every night when we pitted outside, and every night or every day when we'd roll down through that tunnel into the infield, it would just give you goosebumps. You know, coming down that tunnel and being inside of that thing, it was amazing. And it's unlikely they'll ever have modifieds there again. I mean, I know that Mike Van Genderen has the dirt on it again now, you know, for those Cup guys, but the modifieds aren't running there. So it could be that, you know, that my win and Shane DeMay's win and the fellow from California, I can't remember his name at the moment, you know, that'll go down the record books, and that'll be that.
Jerry Flippo picked up a win out there when he was out there from Bakersfield.
Right. Yeah, Jerry Flippo, he won one of his qualifying races. That's right. And I know the guy too. I just can't remember the name of the guy that won on Saturday night. I know that he had one of Danny Lauer's motors in his car.
Yep. So in there, and we're going to go back to story because I got another one. Okay. What happened at Elma, and you charged everyone's motel bill to Jason Bolio's?
that was me and Kellen Chadwick came up. I had a couple of cars. I bought a loose scruff car off of Ron Martin, a car that John De Benedetti had won like an amazing amount of races with. You know, I think it's probably still to this day, I don't think any car has won more money than that car did in 2007. So anyways, I bought the car the next year off of Ron. Him and I are good buddies. And even though we don't see eye to eye politically. Anyway, so Kellen Chadwick comes up there and he's racing my car and I'm racing my other car, my Harris car at the time. And we're staying in the hotel. And so we're drinking in the lobby like everyone used to do back then. And so Kellen and the girl that's working behind the front desk, they disappeared down the hallway to Kellen's room to, I don't know, talk about some stuff or something. Anyway, so I'm left alone in the lobby, and I have the whole counter to the computer system all at my disposal. So I get on the computer, and I can see everyone's room and what the rate is. So I changed my room rate to like, I changed it to like $1.50 a night, and I changed Jason's room rate to like $800 a night. and I tried to, put a bunch of people's names onto Jason's room, but yeah, basically it wasn't so much I put other people's name on his bill. I changed the rates, the room rates. So I give everyone a bargain except for Jason. He had to pick up a slack.
Yeah,
and everybody figured that out or not, but I know that I got a lot of trouble. I got a letter from the manager saying that I was no longer welcome at that hotel. I remember that. It actually came in the mail.
Well, that's two motels I know you've had bad experiences in.
Yeah, well, there was some other stuff happening at that hotel in Elsa too. I can't remember all of them. I think they had a camera that pointed at, if you were standing at the front counter as a guest, they had a camera pointed right at you and a screen up on the wall so you could see yourself standing there. And I think I took a Sharpie and drew myself onto the screen, right? So I was permanently on the screen, and some other shit happened. I can't remember, but I was having a good time.
Yeah. Well, Ryan and somebody else pointed out Kyle Heckman's the guy that won on Saturday night at Bristol.
That's right. Kyle Heckman. That's right.
Yeah.
Heckman.
So,
yeah.
All right. So James Anderson says, ask Lawrence about having a sandwich, throwing football game chip, flying beer, drinking tuna sandwiches, flying everywhere in the gas station, Minute Market. Washington, you never know what you'll run into when you're going to buy beer at 2 a.m. and Lawrence is in town.
Yeah, that was at that hotel where we changed the room rates. Next door, there's a gas station and a market. I can't remember what the name of the market is, but yeah, we were drunk again, and we went over to the gas station to this market to buy beer. I guess more beer. Like that's what we needed. And I think I bought a tuna sandwich, but they had a big soda fountain machine with all these different nozzles. So I thought it'd be pretty funny if I took my tuna sandwich and took some of the tuna salad and poked it up the nozzle of each one of the spouts on the soda fountain. So when people would go to get a soda, they'd get a big blob of tuna salad first that would be in the bottom of the cup. You wouldn't see it till their straw sucked it up. That amused the shit out of me. But apparently the camera also caught me doing that. So the next day the police were there looking for me because I guess it's a crime in Washington State to put tuna salad in a soda machine. I'm not sure. But anyway, so I wasn't allowed back in there either.
So are there any racetracks you're banned from at this point? So I have to ask that question because apparently the after pit parties might cause a little.
I almost got banned from Grays Harbor several years back when George Wade was the promoter there. They just built what they call the dog barn, because it's at the fairgrounds there, and they built this new building for showing dogs. But on this particular night, I think Bobby Valencia, who was the race director there, or whatever he was, race director, I guess, and George was the promoter. They'd hired a band, so they were having a dance in what they call the dog barn. Really nice building, big concrete floor. So we're having a dance and a barbecue party. So I brought my pit bike in. So I was cutting the laps on the dance floor in the pit bike, and I lost the front end going into turn one, and I put it right through the brand new drywall wall. So put a whole mini bike size hole right through the wall. So that didn't go over real good. I thought I could push some tables up against it and it would go unnoticed, but like 300 people were there and they all saw me crash through the wall. So anyways, the next day, George was pretty pissed off because I think the fairground banned the racetrack from ever using the dog barn again. But I paid George to have a contractor come and put a new wall in. So that all got smoothed over. And now George to this day calls me hole in the wall O'Connor. So that I almost got banned from that. But other than that, no, I mean, I'm generally a good guy. I just like to have some fun. Just have a weird sense of humor.
So this is what I was told about you, especially, is that you're extremely excited that at 64, 65 years old, you're still competitive. You're still able to win.
Uh-huh.
And basically, you just grab life by the balls and don't let up.
Yeah, well, I have fun. I mean, I like to tell people I think I'm maybe a freak of nature or something, for whatever reason, pretty girls still find me attractive, and I still like getting around the racetrack and drinking with my buddies, and I'm looking forward to this California tour coming up. I'm looking forward to hooking up with my other buddy, Clay Daly, and seeing what he's got to offer in the way of fun. I mean, I've had some fun with him before in Vegas and whatnot, so that should be good. And I've never been to Antioch and some of those tracks there, so it's time they had a little taste of us.
We're streaming at Antioch this year, so I know there's a chance I'll see you there. I hope you make the right.
I'm sure there's some facilities around there that the police might show up at, or I'll get banned from, or get in trouble from, or whatever. But it's all in good fun as long as no one gets hurt, and we just trying to get a laugh and enjoy life, right?
Yep. So Chris Biggs says, "Don't go to Vegas with you."
Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why me and Big shouldn't be in Vegas together, but yeah, we'll just leave that one under the table.
Yeah. And Ryan Perry, he finally chimed in and said Lawrence likes to keep porta potties close to his trailer door.
Yeah. Well, he's just lucky. That little prick is just lucky I couldn't find a forklift, because it would have been, and it was full too. I would have set it up on top of their trailer and see if they could get off there without all that shit pouring out of it.
No. Now, you said you went back to the motel room, so I have to hear you might have made a trip to Mexico instead of back to your motel.
Oh, in Yuma?
Yeah, when all this transpired. I heard you might have went down to Mexico way for that one, because it was like the break right in the middle.
Yeah. Well, we did go to Mexico. We went down there with Coldy Schultz's crew and some other guys, and yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, Mexico's got some bars that are supposed to be strip clubs, but boy, they're a lot more than that. But yeah, we went down there. Actually, I'm going to Mexico next week just for a couple of days. I'm going to go to Mexico and then come back up to Vegas to go watch the 4-wide NHRA Drag Nationals. So that's really cool.
Well,
But yeah,
I've been overseas to Thailand and all that in the Navy. I know what those strip clubs are all about. We've been to Mexico, been down to
right.
Yes, yeah. We'll leave it on there.
yeah. No, it was fun, and and I didn't get arrested in Mexico, which was the best thing. I mean, I hate it when that happens down there, but so that was good. Everything went smoothly.
So, do you go to any of the bars where they have the nice? Since you like to drink tequila, where randomly come up and you can buy a shot for somebody. They just randomly come up, grab your head, dump a shot of tequila down your mouth, and shake your head.
Never been to one of those. No.
Yeah, when we went across to San Diego all the time down there. Oh my Lord! The 2 for $1 strawberry margaritas. That's been a while since I was down there. There's nothing like getting sick at 2:00 in the morning and throw it up. Think you're bleeding because of all the strawberry freaking margaritas you drink all night long. Oh my God!
Yeah, well, if you're drinking 2 for $1 margaritas, you're probably not drinking the finest tequila. I mean, I'm a pretty refined guy. I got some pretty delicate tastes. I've got a few bucks and I'm used to having nice stuff. So 2 for $1 margaritas, you're probably drinking straight up, just sewer shit.
Well, that was in 88 and 89. But you're talking about Kirkland's tequila. So you get that's not.
Kirkland's tequila is surprisingly, and I hate to have this argument again, but the only brand as good as the best stuff they sell in their store.
Yeah. Well, something happened with your mic. You got real quiet there real quick. I don't know if you covered it up or something.
Well, Kirkland only brands as good as the best thing that they sell in their store. When they brand, say their own batteries, once a Duracell battery, if they brand their own vodka, that's distilled in the same place the grape is just distilled. So that's not branding.
Yeah. All right. Well, give me 1 second.
I mean, I like the taste, but I mostly just like the shape of the bottle. It's just a cool shaped bottle to drink up.
Yeah, well, and that's what I said. I just laugh at. That's what I was followed all this stuff, and we're friends on Facebook, and I see your comments, and I laugh when somebody roughs up your fenders or something at the racetrack. Your comments after you have something to say, you say it's funny.
Yeah. Well, I don't normally go whining on social media, because you get roughed up all the time. But you're probably referring to when we were in Kokopah, and I think I didn't say anything about. I think it was Chaz Baca ran into the back of me, which was completely unnecessary. Just wadded up my car, and wasn't needed. And then I can't remember the name of the other guy, the other hot shot from Arizona down there. And little Ethan Dotson, I passed Ethan Dotson on a restart, and he ran into both my quarter panels before he passed me. I didn't throw him under the bus, but I threw Baca and the other guy, I can't remember his name, under the bus. Just because I was sick of it. I was sick of these guys running at the back of me, and they're better now, Normally I don't bitch or whine on Facebook about people running into because it just happened. I just had enough.
You need to go find his Facebook page and read him, because he said it kind of comical. If you've enjoyed the show tonight, it's very comical what he said. He didn't just go down there and say, you low down, rotten, sorry about it. It was very entertaining to read. So that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, my comment, you mean?
Yeah. The way you did it was very funny.
Yeah. Well, and I can't remember for the life of me, and I should know, it wasn't Zach Madrid. It was one of the other hot shots from down there, track champion. But anyways, yeah, I almost thought about taking it down afterwards because it seemed a bit whiny and snivelly. But frankly, I just had enough of these guys running into the back of me. It just wasn't necessary because I got to go and do all this freaking body work afterwards. And come on, you guys are better now.
Well, you're keeping Travis Perry at bay, though. You're keeping him busy. He's repairing all that for you.
Yeah, well, Ryan is. Yeah. I told Ryan the other day something my bill. I said I own 6 companies, but I got a night job now delivering pizza to pay my bill down at Parrish for the body they put on that thing. I should have taken it to Clay Daly.
Well, I've seen Clay Daly drink down at Bakersfield. Do you walk around with just a bottle? I know he carries around the Crown Royal bottle with him. You see him drinking after the.
Yeah, I should have printed off the picture of Clay Daly in the back of my rental car a couple of years ago, passed out stone cold in Las Vegas.
I see.
And then here's a story. I'll volunteer this story for you. Me and Clay Daly go out drinking, and then the next night, Jason Bolio shows up, and Bolio's always up for stirring up shit. So I think he just met Clay or something, and he said, "Were you out with Lawrence?" Like real serious face. He said, "Were you out with Lawrence?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Jesus, do you remember what happened last night?" Clay's kind of like, "No, I kind of passed out." He said, "Oh, Lawrence is well known for roofing young boys and then having his way with them." And Clay's face just dropped. He was like, he didn't know what to think. He thought that maybe I'd roofied him and raped him or something. Yeah, you gotta hear Bolio tell the story, but it was pretty funny. So that was one of Clay's first experiences with Bolio. But no, he's a good guy. I like him. We've had a lot of fun.
Travis says, "LOL, you'll be waiting 10 years for Daly."
Oh, for him to go to Vegas, you mean? Oh, getting Bobby done. Oh, yeah. I know. Thornton already told me that. Thornton says, "No, he's too slow."
All right, well, we're up on the hour mark, and we're starting to lose it here. So I think, man, this has been a fun hour. It's went by quickly, I can assure you.
Yeah. No, it was cool. I appreciate it. I'll tune in to some of your podcasts. I hadn't heard any before, but yeah, I appreciate it. I think like I said, my big shout out is to my crew guy, Aaron Artisty, and and Scotty, and of course Ron Rosso that builds my cars. But other than that, it's been fun.
Yeah, and I want to appreciate you for taking out the time. And I tell everybody, Lawrence didn't know me. We talked about not knowing each other. I just randomly messaged, "Hey, you want to come on?" "Yeah, when you want to have me on?" It's like there. He's like, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah. And of course, I'm having to do this on my phone. We never did touch on this, but you and I stumbled around for the first 10 minutes trying to get my laptop to work. So now I'm doing it on my phone because we're both too old and too stupid.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. Hey, I'm a truck driver, and technology has not been my friend, but we have learned a lot this year. So
technology pays. Technology pays for all my stuff. I mean, I got Google and Apple and Amazon on the side of my car because they pay the bills, through my stocks and stuff. But yeah, I'm a moron when it comes to it. But hey, I appreciate you having me on, and whoever tuned in to listen, I hope you had a good time, and hopefully we'll see you all at the racetrack.
All right. Well, hang tight when we get off here. I'll end it and hang tight for just a minute. And Nick says, "Thanks for the laugh, sir."